We now return to Voiceover View with Rayle.
Had there ever been times that there were lines that a character of yours would say that you just felt were awkward or just blushing to say?
That you don't have that kind of luxury. Awkward, get over it. Try to wrap your lips around it. Try to get your palate around it. You know, that's not your decision. Your decision is to get into the business and show up. Don't bump into the furniture. Do your job and get out on time. Be efficient. Be fast to work with. Know your stuff. Turn N-O into K-N-O-W. Know why you get no, and you'll get a lot more yes. No, there's nothing I can say that it isn't just get your tongue and palate around the words. If it's difficult to say, if it's STS, meaning up with an S at the end or the beginning of the next word, hey, get over it. Figure out a way to stumble through that STS and get it through it. You know, it has to be all part of your diction. And that's part of placement and part of timing. So, no, that's not a luxury I get to enjoy. I would never say that. Are you kidding? No, you're there to say whatever the hell they write. That's your job. Next question.
Okay. In doing my research, I found out that Doss Butler was your mentor, like Nancy Cartwright. Every time I watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, I can tell which voice in Fractured Fairy Tales and Aesop's Fables is Doss. Since he died in 1987, there's no way that I would know that much about him. What was he like?
Doss was a very kind man, a very giving man. He was not afraid to share. And I've studied with a lot of people, are guarded sometimes about how to share or what to share. And when I say guarded, it's sometimes because they don't know if you can track what they're saying, or sometimes it's because that's one of their particular arrows in their quiver that they don't want to share. Those are dangerous people to study with. And you'll find a lot of them on your road towards professionalism. Those are what I call mediocrity on the road. Those are the people that are blocking you because they don't want to share with you what they know because they're still trying to compete with you. It's apples and oranges. It's tonality. They're going to like what they're going to like. They're going to like the delivery that they like. You know, most of it is pre-life anyway. 99 out of 100 times, people are going to say the line the same way. The dog walked through the door. But if you start it with, hey, Jane, in your head, the dog walked through the door. You hit it a different way. You know, it's the attack of the words. And so, no, I don't. Dawes was giving, and I look at it like Scatman. Old jazz musicians share. A lot of voice actors don't, but I got no problem sharing how to do these chords that I've learned and how to do these sheets and how to place things and blow your breath out here and there. And, hey, that's part of my path. That's what I can pass on. I'm writing a book right now called The Book of Voices, and that I'm showing people exactly how the alphabet has created placement for them to create characters and how to chart different kinds of jobs with different kinds of names and come up with characters. Basically, I'm spilling the beans of how I do things because I'm a lot closer to the end than I am the beginning, and it's not going to do me any good in the grave. But if it helps somebody and these next generations approach things in such a way that I learned how to approach it because I didn't have the digital age. I mean, I had outdoors. I was out there learning from animals how to do animals, and then brought that into how to do impersonations, and then brought that into how to blend those two things together and come up with characters. And so sharing all of that is kind of like what Dawes would do. He used to have a Wednesday night thing where you didn't have any money, you didn't have to put anything in him, but he had a chest in the middle of the table. And sometimes it was a couple of, buffet tables put together with a tablecloth down the middle of it, depending upon how many people were showing up on a Wednesday night. He had regulars, and some people could pay and some people couldn't, but I never knew of Dawes to refuse anybody because of financial infringements. He was, like I say, very giving, very warm. And the thing is, Dawes always had, he would always be like, Elroy was always up in here. Oh, yeah, that kind of up in there. So everything he had was that same kind of sweetness. That's what I miss about Dawes. Dawes, like if you took Mel attacks everything almost in an angry fashion. He's there to kick your ass. In animation, it's the 7 minutes. There's the country mouse and there's the city mouse. Dawes is the country mouse. Mel is the city mouse.
I wonder if he's stubborn enough to open all those doors. Yep, he's stubborn enough.
There you are.
Yeah, I've been doing that voice since second grade. So you answered one of my questions on how things have changed from the pre-digital age of the 1980s and previous to where it is now. Here's the big question that I always ask the voice actors I interview.
Rocky and Bullwinkle, what's your take? Did you watch it? Did you like it?
I loved it. And I had the privilege of working with Bill Scott. I think the last thing he did before he passed away was he played Chief Chirpa for the Ewoks. And I worked with him as an Ewok. I was fortunate. I was one of the only guys that they didn't have to change the voice on. I had the ability to have that already. I could produce that in my voice. Didn't have to have that manufactured harmonically.
The last thing that I remember Bill Scott was a part of was Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears. It was Gruffy Gummy.
I have original recordings of the Rocky and Bullwinkle shows and Aesop's Fables, and I mean, with the outtakes and everything. The one-take artistry blows your mind. To hear these guys go up, and every once in a while there's a thumper, and when there's a thumper, oh boy, Paul Frees making fun of you. And I've worked with Paul Frees, and he was not a giving man. He was a kind of guy that would call you out on the slightest thing. And
you spell that with a C, friend.
Oh, thanks.
No E on the end.
him being such a luminary, I did a Kellogg's Fruit Loops record with him. I got to play a giraffe who had an aerial reconnaissance view of looking down over the tortoise and the hare race. And of course, he was Toucan Sam.
Oh.
So I worked with him and Lucille Bliss in that session.
Lucille Bliss, she was Smurfette.
Yes, before that, she was Crusader Rabbit.
Pre-Rocky and Bullwinkle, created by Jay Ward. I try to put my money where my mouth is as far as voice actor history goes. I mean, if you looked at me right now, you'd think this guy's just a 35-year-old, but inside I'm an old soul, probably even older than you.
Well, I like to tell everybody, everything old is new again. You'd be surprised if you went back into the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, looking at old movies and figuring out character types and voice types and ranges. And just everybody had a casting for a type. That is the treasure trove of types.
Your fellow Insecticons, I've interviewed Michael Bell, and we've talked before that the only Insecticon that's not alive today is the original Chief Palpatine, Clive Revel.
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
I have felt it.
We have a new enemy, Luke Skywalker.
What was he like?
Clive was a gem. He was the funniest thing you'll ever see Clive Revel do is when he does his Sergeant Major. Oh, God, he was so fast. And just, I mean, Monty Python based bits on him. That's how good he was. Clive was a wonderful giving soul, warm, kind-hearted, and funny. I like funny. Funny doesn't ask anything. Funny just gives. It's like kind of like there's a great quote that artists are kind of like scouts on a wagon train. they write out ahead of the herd and ahead of everybody else to get an idea of what's coming. And Clive was one of those kinds of people that was just out in front. There you are. Hello, Clive.
Ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, Clive Revel, the guy who played Kickback.
He's Revel in Clive. I invite you now to revel.
It's tragic that the only time that I can ever think of Clive Revel is when you see the eyes of a monkey and the face of a grandmother.
All right.
If you've ever seen the original take of Empire Strikes Back, when he does Emperor Palpatine, that's what they superimposed to get Palpatine's face before Ian McDermott.
I did not know that, but I do now. I can go to sleep. Now I've learned something.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest misnomers about the voiceover industry at large that you think that noobs like me or fans who are passive about the behind the scenes part of it wouldn't know?
You have to know how to read. A lot of people think, well, I have a great voice and I've heard what people can do. I mean, I can do this. No, you have to be able to read, and you have to be able to read in such a way that you deliver and you communicate with people who are constantly being distracted. So to think that, hey, anybody can do this. And that's usually what drives somebody into going, I'd just like to make a little extra money, just a little, mailbox money, a little here and there. I mean, how hard could it be? Well, it's apples and oranges. So you have to devote yourself to a specific, and you have to specialize in what you do. Then you have to get an agent, and you have to get someone who will work for you and put you out there. Then you have to commit to a regular schedule. A lot of people, again, want to be in the show, but it's the business. You have to remember that it's a gift. And with every gift, there's a price you have to pay. Now, some people can pay that price and some people can't. So the price is whatever it takes. Gift is your ability to be able to, for me, it was the ability to be able to do a lot of different kinds of voices and have voice separation and abstractly communicate with myself on how to blend and do all of that and do monsters. And, doing the Predator, I had to connect with something quite primitive in my own intellect and go there. And to this day, I wear a TMJ guard at night because I stalk in my dreams and I gnash my teeth. So, try to tell that to your, I have medical problems, PTSD from doing the Predator. Nobody's going to listen to that BS. I guess the biggest misnomer is that you can just do this without having any kind of sophistication about yourself and about your craft. And that, my friends, that's a blind alley. You have to prepare yourself and work very, very hard, very hard. And you have to accept no all the time. That's part of the price. Now, can you do that? I can. Can you? I don't know. And I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you that's one of the biggest misnomers, is to think that I got a nice voice and I can pick up a page, but can you pick up a manual, a dry warranty manual, and read it like it was written? And then pick up a dark novel and read that as if it's written. And then pick up the newspaper and read that as if you wrote it. And the list goes on, because you don't know what's going to cross in front of your eyes. And what you're saying is, I'm the guy that's the authority that you want to seek out because I have the voice. I have the voice. That's the voice of reason. And with that voice of reason, I can communicate to your target audience exactly your message. The hardest part is that you don't know until you know who you are. The easiest way, the first voice you have to have if you're going to be a multi-voice person is you. And the problem is, a lot of people that are multi-voice people are too busy being so many other voices that they don't have time to develop who they are. You have to have a laugh and a cry for every voice you do. Otherwise, you can't do the arc of human expression. You can't intone. You can only mimic and do lines. And that's one-dimensional. That's constant sheep jumping over a fence. That's repetition. That is not exciting. You have to learn how to take something so dry, so poorly written, and deliver it in such a way that people go, oh my God, did you hear that spot on such and such? Or did you see that show and hear what that character said? When you start doing things to where people start impersonating what you're doing, then you're in your own imagination land. That's the hardest thing about it, is that people have to realize they have to bring their own imagination to it. See, it's the word of the author. It's the body that you have, which is your resonant tone. It's your voice, which is what you naturally have. And it's your imagination and your spirit. You have to breathe that life into that character. And through your imagination, you give it cadence, and you haven't just opened its eyes and its ears. You've given it intellect through spirit. So you have to really, really devote yourself to this. And don't think it's just something that, hey, I'll just get in there and I'll do a few voices. And then, hey, I'm on a series. Now I've landed. Pfft. So what? I've done a lot of shows. You get to the point where you get to say no too. And what you fantasized voiceover was, and what you come to realize voiceover is part of the price between the gift and the price, and then you go like, am I prepared to pay that indefinitely, or have I paid enough?
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, I paid enough. I'm very happy in my life. I'm very, very, very lucky. I'm among the luckiest people on this planet to do what I do, enjoy what I do, and be good enough to sustain myself in an existence through it. So you have to adjust your assumptions.
Okay.
And all of that is studying with people.
Is it ever too late in life to ever fulfill your dreams?
No,
never.
Because each time you fulfill a dream, a new dream occurs. And why should you deny the next dream? No. Every dream is there. I like to think it's part of what the Creator gave us, was the ability to imagine, the ability to find solutions to problems through trial and error in our own minds, and then come up with a formula that somehow solves those problems. And that, there's no time frame for development. It takes as long as it takes. And every person has their own things they need to overcome in the development of whatever it is that they're developing, whether it's plans for contained fusion or how to perfect the wheel.
Or like what Maurice LaMarche tried to do, trying to take over the world. I know I'm saying his name wrong. It's LaMarche.
Mo. Dog's back. Yeah, little buddy.
I want to thank you for your time, Hal, and I appreciate your friendship, and prosper, my friend. You stay safe. All right, well, you stay safe, Hal. Thank you again.
Have a